few years ago, I moved to Thailand to start a new life, but one night in Bangkok almost destroyed that. In less than 24 hours, I lost my phone, I missed a job interview, I ran out of money, and I found myself wondering if I should just give up and go home. I was the closest I've ever walked to walking away from everything that I've built here. But looking back, that night was the reason that I'm still here today. This is a story of how my lowest moment in Thailand became the turning point for everything. So I'm in Chiang Mai right now, taking a short break from Bangkok, but the funny thing is, being back here reminds me of the early days when I first came to Thailand. Back then, I came with a few £1,000s in my savings account, and it wasn't a fortune, but I thought it would last me until I figured things out at least. But 6, maybe 8 months later, it was all gone. I was working part-time at English camps in Thailand, very fun, but not stable in terms of an income, and definitely earning no way near enough to cover my spending. And instead of treating it like a fresh start, I slipped into the habit of treating my time here like a never-ending holiday. Nights out, expensive weekends, late mornings, and I kept telling myself, I'll get serious next week, but next week never came. And on Instagram, it looked like I was living the dream, but behind the scenes, my bank account was bleeding out. And the problem was, I wasn't doing anything to stop it. So one humid night, a friend convinced me to go to Khao San Road. If you've never been there, it's chaos. Backpackers dancing in the street, music in every direction, vendors selling street food and also scorpions on sticks, buckets of cocktails, and meeting people that you just met, which feels like you've known them forever. You know, one of those kind of nights that feels like it just goes on and on and on all night. And I told myself, why not? I deserve a big night, just for a few hours. I forgot about the money, the job hunt, the responsibilities, and then that's when it happened. So I reached for my pocket to get my phone, and it was gone. I checked my other pocket, I checked the bag, I checked all over the bar, over and over, but nothing. And in 1 second, my connections to work, my bank account, my friends, all gone. And at that point, I was already almost out of money. Okay, so I ended up back in my condo that night, and drinking too much had been catching up on me for months, and my stomach was in bits. And I didn't know at the time, but it was the start of me finding out that I had IBS. And to make things worse, I had a job interview the next morning. It was a solid teaching position, something that could give me a bit more stability. But without the phone, I couldn't get a dress, couldn't get any sort of contact, and I missed a job interview completely. Lying there that day, I was thrown up from the alcohol, my head was pounding, and my stomach was in pain. And on top of that, my savings were pretty much nearly gone, and I thought to myself, okay, Sam, it's probably time to go home. And I mean, I really thought about it, thought about just calling it quits on everything. Thinking about packing up my life here in Thailand and booking the next flight to the UK. And you know what? Part of me told myself it would be easier, safer, and a lot more sensible. But another part of me kept wondering if I'd regret leaving Thailand before I even gave it a proper chance. I could have moved home, got a job, and moved back in with my family. But if I left now, I would always wonder what could have happened if I stayed. And this felt like my rock bottom, but also at the same time, it could have been a reset. So at the time, my mum ended up lending me a couple £100, enough to get me back on my feet and enough to get me a new phone. The same phone I used to film my first proper content. And that phone changed everything. I cut back on going out, I focused on making videos, even if barely anyone was even watching at the time, and I started saying yes to a lot more opportunities that were coming my way. Okay, so not long after, I landed a job as a teacher, and it wasn't my dream job by any means, but it gave me something which I hadn't had in a long time: stability. A steady paycheck, a visa which meant I could actually start to relax here in Thailand, and also, maybe the most important thing, it gave me time. Time to start thinking about the bigger picture instead of thinking about how I'm going to survive from week to week. And it actually gave me breathing room to focus on my social media channels. I was filming videos after teaching in school, editing way into the nights, and learning how to actually tell stories and show my life here in Thailand. and it was far from glamorous, but it was the first time whilst I was here in Thailand that I felt like I had a foundation to build on. A few months later, COVID hit, and weirdly, that is when things started to shift for me. With the world in standstill, I threw myself completely into content. No distractions, no travel, just filming, editing, and learning. And the first 2 years, I made zero money from my content. But I was building something else, a personal brand. And later on, that personal brand would change everything. So now, years later, I can see that the night in Khao San Road with the stolen phone, the missed job interview, the health issues, that was all the wake-up call that I really needed. Now you're probably wondering, why are you even telling me this story? And the truth is, I want to be completely honest with you guys on this channel. Life isn't always picture perfect, and I think that's a very important message to share. And hopefully this video can serve as a little reminder if you're ever going through a tough time. So what I learned is that pain has a purpose. It humbles you, it strips you down, and it rebuilds you stronger than you were ever before. And at the time, it felt like the worst night in my life. But looking back at it now, that was obviously a turning point. And honestly, it's the lows that really make you appreciate the highs. And without the downs, the ups, well, they wouldn't mean half as much. And I'll be honest, I really didn't want to share this story because I was super embarrassed about what happened to me at the time. I saw it as a big loss, but maybe that's exactly why I need to share it. Because sometimes admitting that you're broken is the first step to putting yourself back together. And by the way, I just realized that this is actually my 100th video on this YouTube channel. And honestly, I'm really proud of myself for sticking it out this long. It's not been easy, but it's definitely been worth it. And since we are at the 100 video mark, I'd love to know more about you. Which part of the world are you from? How long have you been watching this channel? Drop me a comment because I really want to get to know the people that are a part of this journey. I almost left Thailand for good, but I stayed. And it was the best decision I ever made.